Okay, moving on. The fourth thing is whenever you move to the call to action, whenever you move to the close, people are going to object. They're going to have some kind of, whoa, I don't know, hey, hold quick there for me, hey, you know. Okay, so what is the way that you move to close in this business? How do you do that? What's the transition? So assuming that we build rapport, we find the needs, we give them the benefits. In our business, we would say, well, you know, our next step is I'd like to do a one-on-one consultation with our event planner so that you can interrogate us with any questions that you have. And so I'm going to email you a list of, you know, some awards we've won, some references, so you can do your due diligence. And then why don't we set up a time to touch base in the next couple days when you guys can have all your questions together and you can interrogate us. Do you work during the day or the night? What works best? And because our script is really, really good right now, we don't get many objections. But in real estate, we get a ton of objections because it's $1 million building. So every time I do it, I say, well, hey, our next step is I want to schedule a photographer to, I don't ever say, do you want to sign a listing agreement? I never have asked that. I've never asked for a listing agreement ever, but yet we list properties. I always say, what I'd like to do is schedule a professional photographer to come out to your property to take some unbelievable photos just to show you what we do before we ask you to work with us, just to show you the quality before, you know, not just tell you, but to show you. When would be the best time to schedule them? And 90% of our clients will say, oh, I can do tomorrow. I'm telling you. So I put here action steps. It says action steps, every one of my closes, and I ask them what time, he says, when do you want to schedule a photography session? That's my question. Because I have found that if I ever ask somebody, well, do you want to go ahead and list with us? They say, absolutely not, no matter what I do. So I know that for in real estate, it's a two-step close. In this business, have you found that it's a two-step close or is it a one-step close? Okay, and that's fine. I'm just asking you, you're in this business, how would you, if I'm here and you've done all the things we talked about, and this person is just, you have a great thing going on, do you go into the close or how do you transition into taking action?
You know, I observed something the other day that I thought was very impressive, and it was with Brenda. She had a guest in the store, and it was someone that she'd worked with for years, apparently. And you know, he was throwing out objections, and they came to the conclusion that this is the ring and everything else like that. And then all of a sudden she looks at him, don't you trust me? And then all of a sudden he goes, okay, I'm done. You know, and all of a sudden the paperwork was going into process. But that was really impressive, is because she built that rapport over a period of time in which she was enabled to just look at him and be that bold and just sit there, don't you trust me? Am I lying to you?
Let me ask you this. If there's 9 customers that come in here today, I'm trying to get like 10 customers that come in, would 9 of those 10, if you have crazy rapport, they really like what they found, would 9 out of 10 of those people, would they come in for a second appointment, or would they want to pay right there? I'm going to ask you, Joel, what is your thought on this?
If you've got 10 customers that come in, more often than not, they come back on that second visit for the
Okay, so what I'm saying is if you believe that's healthy, you know, I believe in real estate that's healthy, but I want to be in control of that. What I would do then is I would say, well, you know what, our next step, and so we're just going to skip down to call to action. I'm just telling you, when you do this, people are going to buck, and when they do, we'll teach you how to deal with it. But I would say our next step is that, and it says ABC, it's always be calling to action. You have to call to action. If you have a meeting and there's no action steps, it was a waste of time. My parents come over, I love my parents, they moved here now, and they still have 4 ways, even though like my dad works for me now, but they still have 4 ways, and I can't fix it. And they will have a meeting, and then nothing will actually be decided upon. It's insanity. So I'm always like, okay, so what do we need to do to fix it, right? You know, you have to with the customer. You need to say, well, hey, kind of our next step is I'm going to email you a review about the ring that you were talking about there. And I'm going to email you just some background information on it, a fun video you can watch, or whatever. A coupon, you know, some coupons. Just come up with something that you have to do for them. You feel me? Something. I'm going to email you a recommendation for a great restaurant to take her when you give her the ring. I mean, just do something. Some follow-up. And Joel, you can come up with a game plan for this. But I'm going to email you this. And then what I'm going to do is most of my customers like to take some time to think about it. and I'm just going to make a note to follow up with you next Wednesday. Do you work during the day or at night? And you want to follow up within 72 hours from right now. 72 hours from right now is when your next action step has to happen. That time or less. Because something crazy happens, there's a 72-hour rule they call it. But basically I quit caring. And I'm like, well, I got a big bill now. And we decided to go on a cruise and, whatever. I mean, people just it's weird. So you want to just set up a follow-up time, okay? So what I would recommend is I would go through and I would assume the close. I'm not saying assume they're paying today. I'm saying assuming they're going to take action. And just assume. Well, our next step is eat elephants one bite at a time. Do not say, you want to meet? Just say, well, what's your email address so I can email you some follow-up? Get that. Get the email. Now get the phone number. And say, now let me ask you this. I'll email this to you. What all would you like to know about the ring? Get that from them. And then say, do you work during the day or at night? Get that question out of them. And they'll say, during the day. And you go, okay, well, so would Wednesday be better or Thursday be better? What's the best time for me to call you? And they'll tell you. And then go, okay, well, I have a 7 or a 6. Which one works better? And just keep process of elimination, A or B, and you're going to get through it. Okay? And this will happen 90% of the time for you if you do this. I don't care what it is. It's insurance, limos, real estate, it works. We have a lady, Sanam, who started working for me. And I realize this isn't good to tell people that don't work for me, but she doesn't know anything about real estate at all. And she's picked up 7 listings in her first week just doing this. Because she doesn't need to know. She comes back to the office and asks Braxton, hey, we're doing a showing tomorrow. What do I need to do? But she knows how to do the system, and it's just easy for her. Okay? And now, we isolate the objections here. I want to go over this with you. When you isolate the objection, what's an objection you get? Somebody throwing at me. What do you got? Cool. So what you want to do, this is how you deal with it. It's called the deal wheel. It is glorious. Step 1 is empathize. I have pictures of the deal wheel in my office. Joel, I can send some to you. I have them everywhere. They're eureka. I can't remember stuff, so if I was here, I'd probably hide it back here. And okay, but the step 1 is you empathize. So you go, okay, so money, you just repeat it to them. So money's kind of the issue right now? And they'll say, yeah. Now, real quick, you have to be quiet and soft-spoken, and you have to calm down for me. Okay? Because if you say it with any intensity at all, it becomes an argument. So you can't go, oh, so money's the issue. Yeah, it is, and I'm leaving. Okay? So you got to say, oh, so just repeat it back to him. So is money kind of the concern? Yes, it is. Okay. And now this next step, okay? The next step here is appreciate. Well, I can appreciate that. That's all you need to say. It just lets them know that you're listening. Okay? The third thing is say, well, let me ask you this. Assuming that money were not an option. I know it sounds crazy, but trust me, it works. Faith Highway, we do this all the time. We're cold calling churches and selling 40 grand of commercials to them. It's crazy. Okay? Now, we say, so assuming money was not a problem, what is it what do you see as being the main benefit of buying that ring for her? And this is the question you ask. So if they say, well, it's just not the right time. Well, let me ask you, assuming that it was the spring and it was the right time, what is the main reason you want to buy that? Well, I got to meet with my wife. Okay, well, let me ask you, assuming that you meet with your wife, what is the main thing you're wanting to do? I mean, just no matter what they say, it's almost like you have a magic wand and you fix that problem. Well, assuming that wasn't a problem, and people, they just do it. I don't know anyone who doesn't do it. It's like a Jedi trick. It's awesome. The old Star Wars, they're like, these are not the droids you're looking for. Yeah, these are not the droids we're looking for. It's awesome. I mean, you're telling, it's crazy. So, just the other day, I had a guy, huge listing, huge commercial real estate. He says, it's just not the right time. I'm not ready to move. I said, well, I can appreciate. Again, you can't respond with energy. You have to comment. I can appreciate that, Dewey. So it's really just not the right timing? Yeah. It's not the right timing. Okay, let me ask you this. Assuming that it was the right time, what time of the year would that be? And he says, well, it's spring. I'm like, okay, so assuming we're in the spring, what is it that will be different then than now? And he said, well, people buy things more in the spring and yada yada. And I said, you know what? I think you're onto something there. As a matter of fact, then I just go right into it and get the listing. It's crazy. It happens all day. It's just a move. But this will help you. This is eureka. Okay? So you go through here, you minimize, and then you want to give a benefit backed by a fact. So then you go, as a matter of fact, Dewey, you are exactly right. Most real estate companies don't market during the winter. So that's why sales are slower. They basically assume there's no sales, they don't sell. That's why it's the best time of the year for you to be doing it, because there's no other real estate companies doing mailers, flyers, billboards. They don't do it, but we do. So this is your opportunity to break out of the clutter, my friend. And he's like, yes, it is time to, you know what I mean? And he gets it. That's how you do it. Now, moving forward here, on the call to action, I want to clarify. Again, always be closing. Assume the close. Eat elephants, the 3-step close. 72-hour rule, you've got to touch base with that person 72 hours from now. Okay? 72 hours from now. Now the follow-up, this is the part where most salespeople, I'd say 90% of salespeople don't do this first part, but I would say almost nobody does the follow-up. And the follow-up, my friends, is critical. This is my sheet. I brought this to show you. This is my follow-up tick list. These are all people I'm working on, deals. I don't cross them off until I get a cry, buy, or die. I have these little rules. I call them all until they cry, buy, or die. Dial and smile. All right? And I just keep calling. Because I don't care if you don't return my call. I'm just going to keep calling, assuming that you want to buy from me. And for some reason, you're just not aware that it's me calling. Okay? And I just keep calling. Seriously. Now, what I would do here is rules for follow-up. One is take accurate notes. So your call isn't like, do you want to buy? Hey, would you like to buy? You say, Joel, hey, I wanted to follow up there. Did you get that email I sent you?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I know we were going to email to some restaurants to you and stuff. Did you refine the game plan for the Valentine's Day? Did you figure it all out?
I'm still working on that.
Okay, well, I tell you what, man, I just wanted to call and make sure you're getting taken care of. And I wrote down that you were talking about the such and such ring or the such and such. Did you have any questions about that? You know, I mean, I have some reason to follow up. It's not just like, did you want to buy? Okay, so you have that. The second is you want to database everything. Because, one, it will make the company more money long term. All right, because you have a database. But two, if it doesn't go in the database, it's like it never happened. Because if you do a mailer or you do an email or you guys do a newsletter that goes out, I'm sure, and you know they won't get it if you don't put it down. And I know that for me, if I don't do it right then, it usually won't happen. Or if I don't do it at the end of the day and just put them all in every day. So what I do is every time I meet a new person, I put their business card here, and every morning I take it out, I put them on the database, do my follow-up emails, and it works really well. The Tulsa World, we were featured, the Tulsa Wedding Mall has been featured like 4 times in the last month. And they've told me that we're the only person that's ever written them a thank you note, handwritten thank you note, like in the last year. And I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, you're the only person in the business section that's written us a thank you note. Like, it's crazy. I just want to tell you thank you. And I'm like, really? You know, and it just amazes me that no one writes them. People might do an email, or but no one writes the note. Well, I write the note and I send the donuts because it makes them remember. You know, so I would just make sure that you're the only person that does the follow-up. The final 2 things is you want to follow up. You want to follow up with value. You don't want to pester people. You want to always have a tip, an advice, great news. How about this voicemail? Hey, Joel, I had some great news for you. If you call me back here, I want to touch base with you. You can figure out what great news is when he calls back, but the point is just get the call back. You know? In real estate, I mean, we always have, hey, there's great news for you. I mean, we just want to get a call back, because if you don't get a call back, you're not going to be there. Have you ever called somebody a bunch of times and they don't ever call back and you had this happen? Just do vagaries, vague voicemails. Great news. You know, hey, I wanted to tell you about something else. Okay? Then, over-deliver. If you promise that person you'll have an email tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., send it today. If you promise the ring will be ready by next Tuesday, make sure that you give them more lead time than you need and have it early. So you can go, hey, great news, your ring's done early. Because you're trying to get those referrals. And what happens is when you exceed people's expectations, they'll make sure that they reciprocate.